Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Geekverse Review. I am Travis Snell, and here we are. We're here to talk about Velvet Buzzsaw because that's what the title says, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm obligated to do it. No, I'm very excited to talk about this movie. Before that, get a quick few plugs out of the way. Next week, we got two episodes because we don't really have a GV proper episode dropping this week because we got two dropping next week. We kind of delayed it because we're doing one on Monday that's going to be just news. So we're going to be talking about all this Batman news, all this DC news. But more importantly is all the Super Bowl trailers that are going to be happening. So we knew a lot of trailers would be happening, so we pushed that a little bit. And then we also got the Lego movie review. We did see that early. We were going to drop it early. Maybe I'll put it on Patreon. But I was very sick. You might even hear it. I'm still very sick. That's why I never got around to reviewing Polar either for Netflix. I might at some point. Maybe me and Briggs will just talk about it in a newscast one time. Really liked it. Enjoyed it. It's a fun B-rate revenge film. If you like Mads Mikkelsen, go watch it. That's probably why it won't be an episode, because that's all I have to say about it. Mads Mikkelsen is fucking hot in it, so great. Golden Geeks. Golden Geeks is on the Geek First page right now. Go back and check out our nominations. We did that. February 22nd, the winners will be awarded, but today, at the time of this recording, when it was released, the voting has started. So I think every 2 days a poll's going to drop, and you just go to our Facebook page, and whatever you think, like right now is Best Villain. It's all the nominations, and you either use the emoji, whether it's a like, the shock face, the mad face, the sad face, whatever it is to vote for that person, do that, because you could help us choose the winner. If there's 6 of us right now, it's good chance there could be something a tie. You let the fans vote, as far as that will be like the fans who they picked for their winner. But if there's a tie, whatever the fans vote, they're breaking it. So you guys can help us decide the winner. So that's lots of fun. I don't think there's anything else. The Star Wars polls are going on. Check out our fan club page. What they're called, Geek First Planet of the Fans, I'm not sure, but it's really just for us to discuss and have a good time with the fans. We do that on our page, but you can go and post there. You can post topics, you can ask us questions, ask other fans questions, whatever you want to do. Go do it. Let's get in this review. I will do the traditional that we do, the non-spoiler, let you know what I think about it, then I'll get into spoilers. Don't really be that long. I don't think it's an overcomplicated movie. So before I get anywhere, I want to say if you've not seen this movie and you have no idea, I repeat, do not watch a trailer. I hope you didn't even see the title and be like, I'm going to watch a trailer and then listen to the review and see if I should watch it. Don't. So the reason is I did not watch a single trailer for this, so there's 2 things that I'll get into. The first is why I'm telling you how to do it. It spoils tons of this movie. I'm not even going to talk about the trailer. It shows you almost every major thing that happens in the trailer, and almost kind of in order. And I do have the advantage of I watched the movie and then right after I watched the trailer, because the movie was not what I was expecting at all. I'll get into that. But it was just like, man, I was so happy I didn't watch it. I'm excited when Brazy gets back in town to talk to him, because he had watched the trailer and I said, oh, I'm not gonna. It's only a week away. So I'm excited to talk to him and see what he thought about it. So that's my first point about not watching the trailer. Second point, I had no idea what this movie was. All I heard was Dan Gilroy and Jake Gyllenhaal and Rene Russo are doing a movie together again, and it's going to be on Netflix February 1st. I am a massive fan of Nightcrawler. It came out in 2014. That is either my favorite movie or it's tied with Whiplash as my favorite movie that year. I'm pretty sure it's 2014. I always get mixed up because of the Oscars, but those 2 movies knocked me on my ass, and specifically Nightcrawler as far as Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, and it kind of gave me echoes of, and I hope we do like a solo review of it one day. There's a podcast we've kicked around of doing old movie reviews, so maybe we'll do it one time once we got through, Marvel Retro, DC Retro. Eventually we'll need content. I'd love to get into Nightcrawler fully, but to me that was this decade's American Psycho, and American Psycho is one of my favorite movies. It is a movie where you have our protagonist who is not really arguably, just not a good person. He's flat out not a good person. American Psycho, it's revealed a lot earlier, but with with Nightcrawler, it's right away where same thing. Like it goes on a little more American Psycho, but pretty much the first scene you're like, this guy's not a good guy, and then it kind of goes on to be like, no, this guy's an awful guy. So it's just like the levels getting worse and worse. So I applaud it for that. I applaud it for if you've not listened before, I love characters. Character before story, because a story can be great, and I hope it's all great, but to me, if there is a great character, even in a bad movie, I can still like it. And lots of that has to do with acting. Gyllenhaal did great acting. I'm a big character guy, and that movie is just falling loose bloom and starting from the beginning to the end, and you see his journey in that a lot of time, and I was a big fan. Yeah, there's other characters and whatnot, but that really speaks to me. I like those You look at some of my favorite comic movies, Logan being one of them. Shame is a movie I always talk about. I love movies that are primarily focused on a big in-depth dive on one character. And that's what Nightcrawler did, and like I said, it had American Psycho vibes, so I enjoyed that. So, and I did not watch Roman J. Escrawler, Escrow, I can't remember what it is. I tried to watch it for Oscars. One, I was a little mad because I had not heard anyone really talk about it, and it got nominated over Logan for as far as Hugh Jackman getting Best Actor nom. And I think I watched 15-20 minutes, and I think I kind of fell asleep, and I never went back to it. It just didn't seem like it was a movie for me that I really cared about. Maybe I should give it another shot, but I just never hear anybody say anything about, you need to watch it. So there's much more movies I'll get excited for. So heard about this, like I said, I'm there, I'm excited. I didn't even mention Renee Russo. She's great in Nightcrawler. But like I said, that movie is more about Jake Gyllenhaal's Louis Bloom. So to transition into Velvet Buzzsaw, that's where this movie is different in so many ways. One, Jake Gyllenhaal is the main character, but it's definitely more of an ensemble. It is not the same way as far as, and I would imagine Roman J. Esquire, I think I got it right this time. I imagine that is like from what I watched of it, more of a one character centric story. So I thought that was kind of his thing. I thought, okay, we get another dive with Gyllenhaal here. And like I said, I had not seen any trailers. I'll wait until I get back to that. But as far as characters go, it's a mix and it's an ensemble of people. And this is what I'll say as far as, I don't know what even the synopsis is of this movie. So it is, the best way I can describe it is a Twilight Zone episode. It is a Final Destination. It is a kind of fun horror romp that I think I will watch lots of times during Halloween. But it didn't have me engrossed the same way Nightcrawler did. Nightcrawler, it was a month ago. I put it on because I heard about the Snap Saw trailer and watched Nightcrawler again. And I put it on because it was late. I'm like, oh, I'll put this on, fall asleep to it. I was up till 2 a.m. I watched the entire movie. This is a movie that I could easily tune in and out for, and that's why it's a good, like, kind of fun horror Halloween movie, I feel like, in the future, because it is, the best way I can describe it is, it feels like a anthology show or a Twilight Zone or a Tales Crypt with really good production and really good acting. That's not to say it is bad. I know that might sound like a slight to some people, but some of the best works are those Tales of Crypt episodes, especially the Twilight Zone episodes, which I can't wait for those to come back in April with Jordan Peele. So that's the best way to describe it. I had no idea that this was horror, to the sense of there are, in the most minor spoiler way, supernatural things going on in this movie. I had heard from other podcasts I listened to, I'd usually skip ahead as most part, or tune them out when they were talking about the trailer of Velvet Buzzsaw. I kind of had this assumption that he was an art dealer sort of guy and it had something to do with death, and maybe he was glorifying death as far as art, and kind of like a similar vein as Nightcrawler. It's not that at all, and it's definitely not, as far as, I don't know about Roman, but Nightcrawler, it's not a succinct journey of Jake Gyllenhaal's character. I gotta get his name, I can't remember what it is. Let me quickly up. But it's not he is our main character, he is our guide, but we spend a lot of time with a lot of other people, and I liked all those characters. This is the thing I could say. Nightcrawler had 3 divisions, right? And I know I'm bouncing off and comparing a lot to Nightcrawler, but that's really the only thing I have to go with him as a director. I looked at his writing, it's kind of 50-50 for me. I like this, but then you got Kong Skull Island. So with this, that was in 3 parts. It was Lewis's story, it was him having to deal with the side characters as far as his little partner there, Renee Russo at the news station, and then his escalation into being an even worse person, right? So it was him as a person, dealing with the news people, and dealing with actual just the job of doing the news and catching the news, right? This has kind of the same thing where it's you have the characters and their relationships and they're kind of all tied. They're all art dealers. They all either work in the art, the artisphere of wherever this, I can't even remember where it took place. They all work in that line of job. I'm so mad I can't think of the exact word, but they all work in art, and they're either art dealers, they're art sellers, they're buyers, they're artists, whatever they are, they all work in that realm. So that's how they're all connected. And so you have that as far as their relationships. Then you have this thing that's primarily about Jake Gyllenhaal's character. It bleeds into other places, but he is a critic of art, and he's very hoity-toity, very uppity as far as just like looks down on almost people, and not in a way because he's rich or anything like that, just that he always feels like things could be better. They talk about that a lot of times in the movie. There's one specific scene I won't tell a spoiler for, but it's very inappropriate when he's talking about certain things not looking well or it should look better, and it's like this isn't really a time where you should be critiquing stuff. Like this is an emotional moment, but he's doing that. His character is similar to Lewis, where he's cold and he's very to the point, so I'd say that, but it's very different as far as this guy's clearly, you can define a good guy or bad guy or what, but he's not the Patrick Bateman, Lewis Bloom sort of like, this guy, something's off him. He does some questionable things, but I feel like he's a protagonist that we could at least try to get behind. That's what I'd say too. The movie, I think, does a good job of this. I kind of don't like anybody in this in like a specific way because I don't think I would associate myself with these type of people. That's not to say anything bad, but as far as they play them to be very stereotypical artists, as far as like, oh, this is what you were doing and you're so wrong, and like that sort of deal. Like they're just always talking down to people. They're always complaining about something. They're always, and I've never met many people like this. I saw a few when I was in New York, as far as just, you can look at them and you just know that they look at you and they feel like they're better than you, and they do this great, because every character, for the most part, I'd say there's one that's kind of maybe just pure-hearted. The rest are just kind of assholes. And that's one thing where, as I was saying, the divisions, as you got the characters and their relationships, and then you got Lewis, I almost did it, Jake Gyllenhaal playing, I was looking it up, and then we'll come back to it. I remember it's a weird name. Morph. Yeah, how was I supposed to remember that? Morph, as his internal struggle of being a critic and how that affects other people in his life. And then you have the horror aspect. Nightcrawler, those three aspects that I listed for you, the way that, to me, the plot's kind of divided, all three of them worked. The two that I first named, the critic part and like the relationships that they all have, really worked. The last part, when it's a horror supernatural element, I had fun with it, but it didn't reach the potential that I was in love with it. And I really kind of wish when I was watching it, I just got a movie about them working at this art dealership or this art museum and how they're dealing with one another. Because Dan Gilroy, I don't see it as much of it in his writing when he does stuff like Kong Skull Island. I don't know how much of he wrote of that. But in his movie, as far as Nightcrawler and this, he has kind of like an Aaron Sorkin dialogue. It's very to the point. It's very stern. It's very punchy. And I like that a lot. And these characters have these great interactions. There's dating and there's relationships, and minor spoilers just make some people like cheating on one another. And it's just, they're all kind of assholes and hoity-toity, but they're all in their different way. Like I keep doing it. Morph just feels that he's better than everybody, And then there's one art dealership she's just kind of, they all feel like that, but she feels she's just above everybody else. Like you'd have to watch it. They all are assholes, but they're all assholes in their unique, different way. And they all have different things going on. They all have different motivations. He's a critic. He doesn't want to feel out of place. This other girl who, what was her name? She was played by Zaw Austin, who I'd only saw in Nocturnal Animals, which is a very similar movie. Played Josephina. She is just kind of, she feels like she's underneath better than everybody, and she's trying to make a career and show that she's better, and she'll cut you out of her life if she just feels, yeah, you're not on my level anymore. Gone. You have Rene Russo, who's playing this art dealership, who people kind of talk about. She's kind of riding on the coattails of her past, that she was, I guess I can't say that's kind of a spoiler, that she was a big artist back in the day, and then she kind of became like a parody of herself. But some people have the decency to tell that, and some people just kind of like, oh, she's so great, and she just kind of has this clout, but she secretly she's better than everyone else, but she feels like she's starting not to be better than everyone else. So you'd have to go watch. Lots of great acting in here. You got John Malkovich as well, and Toni Collette. So to the horror aspect, when I was talking about them being assholes, is where I was trying to get to, but classic Travis Snell in a review, I ramble a bit, but trust me, it'll make sense as far as I'm not trying to spoil it. Like I said, they're all these different type of assholes. In the horror realm, when we get into it, the stuff that they do is there's some creative spots, but there's also some that are a little clunky, and I'd say the build up to some scares are good, but when you get to the actual reveal of what's happening, it looks a little cheesy, or it's just too quick to really leave an effect on you. I would say that maybe that is done on purpose, because it also kind of feels like a dark black comedy, so maybe it wasn't more about the horror, because there are some outrageous moments in this movie. You're not really rooting for anybody. And that's where I was more interested in the drama part, because I'm just wanting to see, okay, what does this person react with this person, or how does this person react with this news, or what's going on with this them debating or bickering about this art being better, or who's gonna get this piece of art, or why. The Josephina and Morph have like this great relationship that I can't wait to talk about quickly in the spoilers, as far as just their just I don't know. It's a where they're kind of one-upsmanship of each other, but then at the same. That's a bad way to describe it. Wait till spoilers. They have an interesting relationship. They have a relationship that is they both need each other. That's what I should say. Not one-upsmanship. There's a scene where it turns into kind of one-upsmanship, but they both need each other, almost in like an unhealthy way. And that's the thing where that stuff was all interesting. The horror aspect, the scary aspect, the supernatural aspects was fine and fun, and that's where I'd say it was a final destination where you're just kind of like, okay, I can have some good times with this, and that's why I'd say this is above a lot of lower tier B-rate horror movies, I would say, and that's why I think this is actually going to be a fun Halloween watch for me. It's one that I could put on in the background, enjoy, carve a pumpkin, there's some great acting going on, but yeah, so I would recommend it if you like his work. I'd recommend it if you like horror. I don't think it's a movie that you need to run out and see. Well, it's out on Netflix, so you don't need to run to your couch and see. I think there's other things you could watch, especially award season right now. There's tons of stuff you should catch up on. And if you really like any of these actors, especially Jake Gyllenhaal, he does a great job. It's always fun watching him. Yeah, I think it's really good. I enjoyed it. I will watch it again, but it's not a must-see. It's not, when I was talking about Golden Geeks and we do our Oscars, our best ofs of the year, and we nominate stuff, there's not much I'm going to really remember for this movie other than I enjoyed it. I don't think I would recommend it to everybody. It's a good rainy day watch or something like that. It's better than a lot of other stuff as far as, just like I said, the acting and the dialogue. And I was a little disappointed, especially the ending feels, I don't want to say rush. It's a nice time, it's hour 52, but it just all feels like a little basic on the horror aspect. So that's what I would say. If I'll give a score for the non-spoilers, just in case you want to go watch, because it's a Netflix movie, maybe tune in and see. I would put it at like a 7.5. I think I'm sounding more negative than I am. I just, one, had high expectations because I really like this pairing. And two, I really liked the way the movie was going at the beginning, when it was just more about these characters living in the normal world. And then it just takes a turn for a loop. And man, it was not what I was expecting. It turns into something fun. I'm excited to watch it again one day, but I'm in no rush to. So here's your count for spoilers in 3, 2, 1. I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we're off to Spoilerville. Okay, so like I said, there's not much to break down in here. This is your last warning. It's Final Destination. And that's what I mean. I don't know if the people that had watched the trailers, if they hadn't, I couldn't even remember if the trailer. The trailer did show that. That's what happened. The trailer does show that this artist Deez, he did some work on some art. That sounds like the worst pitch ever. So I have this character, he did some work on some art. It's pretty much this guy ended up being crazy, and he did some art using some blood and maybe some other things that we don't know whether it was his or other people's, and this art is kind of like haunted, and of course he instructed. So what happens is Josephina, and then maybe I'll give a quick breakdown for people that just listen to spoilers. She works at this art museum with the Velvet Buzzsaw, that's who Rene Russo is. That's what her nickname was in the olden days, or back in the time. Why am I making it sound like it's the fucking dinosaur age? Whenever she was working as an artist, that's what they called her. And she owns this museum, and she's an art dealer, and Josephina's kind of like her right-hand woman. So this neighbor dies, she goes up to his, calls the police, goes up to his apartment and finds all this art. And the same thing with every character, that once they see this art, it's like a trance, right? It's either moving or it's glowing. It just sucks them in. That was fun. That was nice. And I actually liked, it sounds weird, the designs of the art. Some of them looked normal, but like creepy normal, like too normal, like someone's idea of what normal would be. So I like that. I like the imagery. And that's what it comes down to, is everybody he hated hated people like this. People that were better than everyone else, that acted better, that profited on people's misfortunes. And that's what this art happens, is anybody that makes a profit on this art, because he instructed, apparently, that's what's real throughout the movie, and it hits all the tropes of every single, like every B-rate type of horror movie, right? Just any horror movie that's kind of happened when something cursed. And that's why I'd say, like, the horror stuff is kind of weak, and that's why I was hoping maybe the kills and whatnot, which I'll get into, were, like, exciting, but they're not. They're fun, but nothing out of this world, except for I forgot to mention the non-spoilers. Robo-Man or Robot Man, oh man, I want a whole movie of him. I know you could, but just his look and the way he moved and like, I can't save you, and he just looked great. So back to this. He's instructed that you gotta destroy the art when I die. No one can get it. Classic horror movie. She goes up. She's enthralled by this art. She takes it. They pretend that they actually just found it in the garbage, that it wasn't this guy's art, so they could sell it and whatnot. And what happens is everybody that's involved with this art, if they made a profit on it, if they sold it, anything like that, if they gained anything by lying and using this guy's art as their own, they didn't even say it as their own, but just using it to sell without his permission, they're gonna get killed. And that's exactly what happens. It's Final Destination, where the whole movie, they're all killed in supernatural ways where something else did it, where the police or the real world would be like, oh, they died because of this, and it's a natural cause, or it's something that where at one point a guy, I can't remember his name, he's kind of like I'd say like I don't know, competitor, and he has this painting as well. He bought it, and he gets that's where like the build up to this kill is. So he's, for people that haven't seen this, he's like looking around, you hear stuff, and there's a light bulb, and there's something hanging from the light bulb, and he goes to grab it, and that's why I said the build-up's good, and then when he grabs it, there's like a kind of bad, I don't even know if it was CGI, but it looks CGI, just this hand that comes down, grabs him, and puts him up, and it makes it look like he hung himself, and that's why the actual kills execution were not the greatest. There's one earlier, who was the ex of Jake Gyllenhaal's character Morph, I think his name was Bryson? Yeah, Bryson, he gets sucked up by like this monkey painting, and it was alright, but it was kind of a little cheesy. And they show all these kills, every single one in the trailer except for the very last one. I was shocked when I watched the trailer. I'm like, are you kidding me? The trailer, the last two shots are how Jake Gyllenhaal's character died and Josephina's character died. Nuts. Terrible trailer. I'm so glad I didn't watch it. I'm never going to watch Netflix trailers again unless... I don't think I need to, because Marvel's canceling all their shows, so I think I'm great. I think I'm in the clear. So, that's the story. It's Final Destination, where it's just like, how are they going to get killed off? You're waiting for it, and one by one they get killed off. You get one guy who was just driving the painting somewhere. He dropped a cigarette, he crashes, he goes in this pub because he got burnt, and that's what this painting, this gas station, a painting pulls him in, and literally these monkeys, CGI monkeys come out. You got that guy that hung himself. You have Jake Gyllenhaal's death by Robo-Man, which was great. They show in the trailer, but which was great. Just, he's so scary. And the way and that's where it is very black comedy. It kind of feels like a spoof when he's running away from him. He's just like throwing like a dolly at him. Like, it's clearly not going to work, and he just kills him. Josephina's kill was really cool. It's like she's in this kind of inner mind in an art gallery. Someone's behind her car, and then I'll talk about her in a second. And like all these paintings, they start to drip and melt, and they go into her skin, and then it's revealed later on that she's just absorbed into this graffiti wall. That was really cool. I like that they did the fake out with Velvet Buzzsaw as far as this thing. She has this big piece of art in her yard, and it almost kills her, just like Final Destination. You're like, oh, she's fine. They showed a few times on her, I'd say right shoulder, she has a Buzzsaw tattoo, and it says Velvet Buzzsaw and it's dripping blood. At one moment, like, at the last thing of the movie, her back starts to itch, and she's itching, and you can see the tattoos, like, getting redder and redder, and then it starts to spin, and it turns into a Buzzsaw. That's really cool. I don't know how they explain that one in the real world, but the idea is, eventually it's gonna get you. So that was all the horror stuff. To me, it was very basic. There was some fun stuff, but I mean, that stuff was just... You're just kind of waiting for them all to get killed off. In the end, like, the last three main characters get killed off all very quickly, back to back to back. And there never feels like they're going to escape, or there's that moment in the movie where we figure out how we can stop it. There's never that. It's just kind of like, they just die, and that's it. So, yeah, that's really it. The stuff that I did like was... the biggest thing was Morph and Josephina's relationship, where you can just tell he is a guy that... He's bisexual, he's out of a relationship, and for whatever reason, he's just enamored with Josephina. Who Josephina, you can get from the sense that she's friendly with him when they first meet, but you can kind of get the sense that she views him lower than he views himself. And this whole movie is about, I feel like, being better than someone. As far as level of importance, he would do anything for her. He's always walking up. He saw her, she was crying, he talks to her right away. And you can see that she doesn't view him that way. That's why it surprised me. About 15 minutes in, she just broke up with her boyfriend as well, and they kind of had like this quick love making scene. I was like, okay, this is different, because I thought the whole movie maybe she kind of have him tied on the finger of her, tied on a string on her finger and just kind of carry him along. But she does that as far as being a relationship, and the thing is, once she uses him. And my favorite thing of the movie is he's known for giving these really scathing reviews. Even at one point, they talk about how this guy was upset and he died because he left his house so upset and he was driving and he crashed. And that was just because Morphe gave him such a bad review. And he says some line about, like, a bad review is better than nothing. He says it better than me, but just like a scathing review at least says something about yourself. I don't remember the exact line, but he knows that he's maybe a little bit of a prick, but he stands by it. He goes, hey, that review is better than nothing else. It's just better than me not saying anything and that art not having any placement in our world. Because if he says something about this art, good or bad, people are checking it out. If he doesn't say, his point is, if he doesn't say anything, no one cares about the art and they move along. And she is kind of dating him. At the beginning, it feels like they have a connection, but then it's slowly revealed that it's just kind of his importance in the world. And she even says that because he's starting to go nuts, because he got this deal to write a book and have exclusive rights on these paintings and whatnot, and write this guy's story and everything, and he chalks up as he's just been looking at this art too much and he can't visualize and critique other artists well like he used to. But really, he's going crazy. He's seeing things. He even says that Josephina, she never questions it. He's like, I'm seeing things all the time. She's just like, you're bad, your critiques are going down, you're off the way, you've fallen off, or something like that. And then to get him back, she's just dating him because of status. He's known as a big critic, and he is a very popular critic, and people respect his opinion. And as people start to respect his opinion less and less because they think he's just losing it, you can see that she gets less interest with them. She gets less interested. She said, let's go on a break, and then while they're in a break, she cuts him off. And I think whether you're a guy or girl, straight or gay, bisexual, whatever you are, asexual, well, that doesn't work because you wouldn't be looking for somebody. But if you've been in that relationship or dated somebody where you may view them as the world and they may like you or whatnot, but you can always feel like they're looking for greener pastures, or just it's not the same connection. And that's what this is. It's a heightened reality as far as them being artists, and the kind of dialogue they use towards one another and talking about things in the way of art. But then she does this thing where she uses him he hasn't liked any art at all. He just keeps giving negative reviews, except for Dee's art. But other than that, all negative reviews. And then she had broke up with this guy who was cheating on her, or just kind of ended, whatever. That's how we pick up that she just found out this guy was cheating on her, and she's kind of crushed by it. And she asks and pleads Gyllenhaal's character Morph to give him a negative review, and he does, and it's a scathing one and whatnot. And then later on, they're making this great argument about, that's when she says, you're losing it, your skill's going down, blah, 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 and he's trying to confide in her, but you can tell that because she doesn't really care about him, he's not going to get much of a confession, like he's saying, I'm seeing things, I'm not feeling myself, but she doesn't care, she's all just about herself. And then he says, she talks about everything you see is just negative, and he goes, I think the guy, her boyfriend's name was Ricky Lake, I loved his art, but I had to take it down because I did it for you. And that shows right there that he's willing to do anything for her, and she's not willing to go that distance or even do close to that. And that's what I really enjoyed. And of course, then I loved all their interactions with John Malkovich's character, who jumps out of this movie because he gets sober and he just realizes he doesn't have the touch anymore, and he's just gone. And the end credits of this movie is just him on a beach painting. So it's great. So it's kind of like he took the high road to make his life better, and guess what? He didn't die. So that's kind of the moral lesson there. But I liked all their talking. I liked that Jake Gyllenhaal kind of finds out that Toni Collette, who's just like this kind of like really bitchy art, this museum owner as well. She owns something else, that he finds out that his ex-boyfriend, at one point she kind of takes some slight about, I don't know how art works, but it's better if you could get a piece before anyone reviews her or puts their claim on it, because it's kind of yours. So he was a critiquer or a reviewer. He'd go and look at some art with his boyfriend at the time, Bryson, would tell Toni Collette's character, hey, he feels strongly about this piece, and then she would go and buy it before you get to review it or after, which I really justified and liked as a small critic myself, because we're always trying to get reviews out, we're always working on them. And that's the thing where I really like that they have this dynamic that she's hanging over that, oh, hey, like, you haven't really caught a piece of art in a while that already wasn't hot or someone already bought. He's just like, he literally like, fuck, and she always just says kisses. That's how she ends our scene. She'll say something totally bitchy and go, kisses. I forgot to mention, she has this cool ball scene, but that was very telegraphed. You knew that was coming. There's like this piece of museum art, and it like does something where you put your hand in there, like, there's 4 different slots that makes you feel different things. Sometimes it'll give you like sad vibes or even sexual vibes. I guess she never tried it out. She chooses to try out the night, of course, after she bought the haunted art. It just takes her arm off, and again, they're just kind of like, it happened. I like that they gone this. The kids thought it was just a regular art piece, and they were like playing in the blood. Very disturbing stuff. So that was fun. But their actual interactions, and then this relationship stuff, it ends with her, leaving him, and they just hate each other. And he's like, "You're still my friend," and she's just like, "Fuck you, block this, never talk to me again." We've all been there before as well. You break up with somebody, you're like, hey, you end things, hey, I'm still willing to be friends, I still view you as a friend, and they just fucking hate you. And it's weird because she got so much more of that relationship than he did, other than he loved this girl. He never said that to her, but he loved her. He just was infatuated with her and was willing to do anything with her, or for her. And he still, even had his heart broken, she kind of said, oh, we're on a break, and then she goes on to another guy. He's been stomped on this whole time and used, but he's still willing to be the friend, and she's not. So I think we've also been there. So yeah, I liked all that stuff. Honestly, that's where I go. I wish it was maybe just a movie about more of the relationship stuff. That's the things I like more. Like I said, a 7.5. I don't think I have anything else to add other than Roboman is fucking awesome. I loved him. That's why he's the thumbnail. He was so cool. I'll probably never get to see him again in anything, but I hope even in some movie he's just like, for him, like he puts him on the side or something. I really liked him. So yeah, a 7.5. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in this review. If you want to check out all our video and podcast services, it's in the description below, from YouTube to iTunes to SoundCloud to Stitcher Radio, whatever it is. If you really like what I do or what we do, head over to Patreon for $1. You get half our content for $5. You get all of it. We got our early retros up there, like Clone Wars retrospective. We're watching that all. Lord of the Rings, we just started right now. We're getting the 2 Hobbits are up there. After 9, our exclusive show. So lots of good stuff. It's a bang for a buck. You've had that $5 in your wallet, looking to use it for months and months and months. Use it. Try it out for 1 month. And if you don't like it, then, say la vie and come back another time. But trust me, we like to put out as good quality content, as fun quality content as we can on that channel for our paying viewers. So thank you very much for tuning in. When you hear from me next, it'll not be boring.